there's this new report out that has Donald Trump is more popular than ever, according to Shock Poll, as he prepares to address Congress. Now, if you're an American, you're not shocked. The guy outside of, the Jeffrey stuff, he's pretty much doing everything he said he was going to do. And when you scroll down and look at the quote Shock Poll, it's really not that shocking. He's at a 54% approval rating. This says Trump tracking poll stands at 54%, representing a historic high for the president who has polarized the nation. Some 46% of those who expressed an opinion said they disapproved of his performance. I think part of this approval stuff is that the media is so stuck on like sometimes when I'm doing videos, I refer to it as like I'm missing the beat. Like I'll have a bunch of videos that don't do well. Clearly, I'm not covering what people are actually interested in at the time. Mm-hmm. And like the media right now is nonstop covering like pro-Ukraine crap, which the average American is just translating to, we think the United States should give more money to Ukraine. Or they're covering like Doge, which again, in a negative light, which most Americans overwhelmingly agree with what Doge is doing. Do you think, his approval rating probably will never get much higher than 55, 56. But what do you make of these are historically high numbers, and it's hilarious that it's just like, it's just barely over half.
They're like, and this is a shock. People like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny because CNN, I reported on that this morning. They had their own poll, and they're like, well, Donald Trump is underwater at 48% approval, but it's not an aggregated poll. It's not really a scientific poll. It's basically just a cherry-picked push poll. And I was pointing out, like Joe Biden, he sank down into the mid-30s at several times during his presidency. Yep. Donald Trump is way above that. Now, the honeymoon period will end, so he's not going to remain probably at that level unless he does really, really good. He's like a Dwight Eisenhower or something like that. I think he rose from 54 to 57 or something like that back in the 1950s. Other than that, almost every president has suffered attrition in polling over time, and then they stabilize at some point. Unless you're Carter or Bush, then you just collapse completely. But I think that Trump has all of the abilities that he needs to potentially be the next Dwight Eisenhower in polling. I think he has that capability.
Where was he? Was he ever over 60?
Eisenhower, I believe so. I believe he was at 62 at one point.
Okay. What do you make of this, Hannah Claire? I know that, like, I think the Epstein stuff is dragging him down. The problem is it's kind of with a really small subset of people. Like, even when I cover my disappointment and how that was handled, I would say at least 20% of my viewers are saying that they don't care or that I'm overreacting. So it's like the files release botch. Those files are really just not important to normies. This is what I'm seeing in the replies, even in my own viewers who are like, bro, who cares? Chill out. It's not that big of a deal. And like, I had a video keyed up for it today, but I'm like, people are telling me they don't care about it. So I'll probably just skip that video.
I think there's a lot of hope in the Donald Trump administration that like a couple bumps aren't going to tank it, which I actually like. I think so true. Often people are willing to like fall off the handles. Styx, I just pulled it up because I was curious what you said, and apparently at one point Eisenhower had an approval rating of 79%, which is like that's crazy.
Trump will never get in this hyper-partisan climate. Never even close.
But I think so I did a video on Friday talking about the first cabinet meeting, and because there had been some backlash about like Elon Musk got to talk longer than people, and kind of just to like be like, what did they talk about? Elon Musk, what's his relationship like? Like the Trump administration seems like everyone's kind of having a positive relationship, right? Like Elon Musk is everywhere, and there's some criticism of stuff going on in his personal life, but even Kash Patel, who was like, no, don't respond to his email about what did you get done, doesn't seem to have any animosity towards him. It seems like every time there could be, a little bit of turbulence on the ship, mostly the administration is holding together. And I think that's bleeding through to the public who supports him. Like the Epstein files are interesting. They're important, but it's definitely something that exists online in Twitter-centric spaces or X-centric spaces that doesn't necessarily translate. Like if you ask if you see a guy in the grocery store and he's wearing a MAGA hat and you ask him about the Epstein files, he may be like, oh yeah, that definitely needs to get the release, or he may have some opinion on it, but more than likely that's not the main reason they voted for Trump. Right. And so if it takes a long time for it to come out, I mean, we were talking about this last week, like they said day one, but they didn't deliver on day one. The majority of the people who support Trump aren't super upset about it. Partially because I think Styx and I have talked about this, like you're not actually expecting to get the Epstein list.
Right.
You like it.
Yeah.
But like,
I think most people know that now. I know that now,
Yeah,
right.
It's like you might get it, but it's going to take a very long amount of time. Some of those people are literally under investigation pertinent to those legal cases. You can't release that information, not unless you want to trigger a mistrial. So you litigate in court, then you go to the court of public opinion. This is the same problem that some creators run into. Somebody alleges that they've committed some crime. The first thing they do is make a YouTube video. That is not a good idea.
No, it's not.
I've had that experience myself.
Yeah, I was to say, you're not speaking from experience, are you there, Styx?
Yeah, no, not at all.
I just think that the overall optimism that people have for the Trump administration, the administration shouldn't abuse it. They still need to be keeping their promises. And they need to not just I guess Pam Bondi put out a statement being like, oh, I misspoke when I said I had them on my desk or whatever. Like they need to be honest with the people. On the other hand, I think people believe that the administration is legitimately trying to make things better, and they're not sort of easily deterred from that. And that's why the approval ratings are so interesting to me. Like momentarily, last week may not have been the administration's best week, but I think generally the supporters are still in a period where they are willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Styx is right there. The honeymoon would probably end eventually, but it's not right now.
I would say it's like an 80-20. And compared to the prior administration, especially, and most other administrations since living memory, I'll take it. 80-20 is perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I've got a hard out, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I may. So I'll peace out and we'll finish the live stream.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, other than the files, I would say that, Trump is killing it. But... there's been a lot promised, a lot. And, if you want to start nitpicking stuff, people aren't ready for it. Even I made a couple comments on Twitter or X, sorry, I'll probably never call it X, that were critical of Trump.
It doesn't feel as normal as Twitter.
No. What do I call it? A skeet? What do I call a tweet now? A post? But
that's too generic a post.
Yeah, when I gripe about Trump, I'm getting lots of pushback. Like the reality is, what's going on with those deportations? We don't even hear about that anymore, and it never even reached anywhere near close the numbers it needed to. What's going on?
Then he got a lot of support when he took out the what was it? Cartel. The acting director of yeah.
Yeah. That guy, yeah.
This is the thing. Like, you want to be able to say, like, hey, I want the administration to do well. On the other hand, I should be able to say, like, we aren't getting the deportations that we need. You can then be like, great, you've made a change, but also we still need to see the deportations. And sometimes I feel like this with Trump and Elon Musk. Like, if you level any sort of criticism at them, people get very defensive. Yeah. And there needs to be a little bit of both. Like, you can still say, like, we love that you're doing that. Now here's the goal we're trying to reach. You can say, so glad we got RFK for Health and Human Services. Now let's actually get more answers about the food or whatever. Like, there is this weird, like, and again, I can't help but think, sorry, I'm totally cutting you off, by the way.
Oh, go ahead.
I feel like some of it is the way the media treated Trump in 2016 made people so defensive of him, which is cool because, like, everything that happened with Pam Bondi and the Epstein files over the weekend kind of overshadowed the fact that Trump signed an executive order making English the official language of the country. That's a huge win. That's really interesting. But there's throwing so much stuff at the wall that like this other thing took priority in terms of the conversation that was being had. There are wins coming even when not everything is a complete knockout success. Are you watching a cat behind you?
Yes, I'm
over here ranting and you're distracted by your animal.
I'm watching the cat because she was acting funny, and now I'm every time they're paranoid. Like move around, I'm paranoid. Yeah, like
in your office with you when you got on stream and she was in your lap. I was surprised.
Well, I'm letting him in the office because I thought maybe they were acting out because they weren't getting enough attention. So I'm letting him out in the dog is in here in the mornings. Then he goes out to play with Heather and the other dogs, and then I let the cats in. And then at 4:00, I keep the cats out. That's starting today. I'm just trying everything I can right now.
This is hard. You have a huge animal family that they all need your attention. I mean, you and Elon Musk are really like understanding each other right now. He just announced his 14th kid. You're like, I know, man. I have to spend 5 minutes with each individual animal a day.